Hey everyone, and Casey Neistat. Thank you so much, Casey, for putting out that video around social media and intimacy and sexuality, because it is a very important conversation that I feel like so many people are thinking about, but no one's really talking about. As I think that it is the driving force that is driving a lot of our actions in the world, sex, money, and food, a lot of our survival mechanisms, and it's also the way that we judge ourselves and perceive how we are showing up as successful. If we're getting some, if we're not getting some, and here it is that you're talking about with all of these facts around less sexual activity in the younger generations, where it's decreased in performance, or like even the act of it, over the last couple of years. And why is that?
Lack of sex is driven mainly by the young. One final factor that may be affecting American sexual habits at all ages is technology. Before sex, typically comes intimacy, has been pushed out by social media.
Yes, it is intimacy, right? Social media doesn't allow us to have that deep human connection, to actually have a conversation that brings in the conversation of the body. So if we're not physically engaging with each other and we're not actually present, how can we generate the relationships, the human connection, the things that we're craving for in our lives? I mean, we're experiencing an epidemic of loneliness and divorce rates that we've never seen. Why is that? Is social media one of them? I totally think so. But also with intimacy, what I see is into me I see. Intimacy. So into me I see. How I get to be intimate with you is how deep I have gone inside myself, that actually allows me to see the depth inside you. And that could be a terrifying thing for someone, because they're like, don't look at me. I don't want you to see my demons, my dark sides, my shame, my guilt, my insecurities, my unworthiness, all these conversations that I have that's driving my life inside. And that is the fear that I think a lot of people are coming up against, of they don't actually want to see people because they are terrified of the things that people will see in them. And this is the conversation that we get to have around all of us, to start taking ownership and responsibility of the conversations and the intimacy that we are avoiding inside ourselves. Yeah, I also use the word sensuality because sensuality means the enhancement of the senses. What we see, what we smell, what we hear, what we taste, and what we feel. All of these are superpowers, essentially, of the body. Yet when we aren't using them and we are just on overdrive of the mind, that is what causes social anxiety and all these other anxieties into our day-to-day lives. And anxiety is a mind that's disconnected from the body, disconnected sensations. So what happens when we actually start practicing to get our bodies involved, to start having connection and intimacy with ourselves, so we can start generating connection in the outside world, but actually freaking facing ourselves. And that is the most courageous act that we can do, because I don't know if you've seen this planet and what's going on here. The universal conversation that I'm speaking about starts on an individual level. The micro to the macro. There is no difference of the distortion, the chaos, the turmoil that a lot of us are experiencing on an internal level that is also now being reflected on an external level to this planet, to this earth. Next. And when we have so much energy stored in the body and it not being acknowledged, of course we're having tendencies where people are acting out and it's becoming violent, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, because we don't know what to do with this energy. We literally are just penetrating these things and not actually thinking about them. Another piece around this and the lack of intimacy is also around the Me Too movement, as I see that has created so much confusion, especially for men, in how to approach women, or anybody for that matter, at this point. It's a confusing, scary conversation. It's thin ice. There are people that don't even feel safe to come forward with things that they may have done that they regret from their past, because of the fear of their whole life being taken from them, their job, their families, because there's people getting fired left and right for actions that they've taken in the past. So how can also these men even come forward to bring something that's been in the dark inside themselves out into the light, out into the world to confess? And then are we willing to then forgive, to receive, to accept an apology, to allow this person to change, to grow, to adapt, and actually evolve into the men that we want to see in the world? Because if we're not creating any space for these men to come forward, for them to be able to share, for them to share their vulnerabilities, their insecurities, their emotional depth that has been so suppressed from them, ladies, non-binaries, whatever gender we are, we're not going to get that far. We're not going to get that far without these men. We're not going to get that far in a female future. Yes, I believe the future is feminine, but I believe the future is feminine for the sake of balance, for the sake of integration of masculine and feminine qualities. So hashtag men too. I feel you. And I feel your what do I do? How do I approach her? Because God forbid you then become associated in a category that you feel like you can never get out of. So social media is a huge piece of this, and social media also created the Me Too movement. Now, I think the Me Too movement was really vital and important because it has opened up a granular conversation that is so essential for us to move forward as a society. And within this, I see there's two responsibilities. And now I am going to talk about women to men, but I am also acknowledging and inviting the non-binary people that don't relate to a gender for you to just feel into what resonates for you. For the women, I feel our responsibility is forgiveness, to actually listen to when someone is ready to come forward, to confess, to heal, to own what they are wanting to change in their lives. But also, maybe we don't need someone. Maybe it's old stories where we'll never get that person's apology. How can we still find that forgiveness within ourselves? I know for me, how can I forgive the generations that have come before me that have caused so much pain to this planet? How can I forgive them in this moment? So all of my actions moving forward aren't coming from a place of like, oh, this is a comeback, or any aggression in what I'm saying, but it's coming from a place of compassion and love. So for the women, it is forgiveness, and for the men, responsibility. Your invitation is responsibility, to take responsibility of the things that have come before you, the things that are current now, and the things that will come after you. How can you live a life that is taking responsibility of all those things, not from a place of it being heavy, but a place of taking it from empowerment, self-empowerment, motivation to move you forward, to actually be the change that we wish to see in the world. Energy follows attention, and attention drive our actions, and actions drive our habits, and our habits shape our lives. So in that, what are we creating with our energy? Are you creating life or death? Are you creating destruction or pleasure? Because we can create all of it. We are that powerful. So with that note, that is what I have to share around the Me Too movement, as it is so much that is happening right now, and we get to do something about it. We get to forgive, we get to take responsibility, and we actually get to generate and create the lives that we want for ourselves, for the ones after us, and for this planet. So I believe in you that much, and I dare you to try it. All my love, thanks for tuning in. My name's Elana Meta.